Good evening. Hi, guys. Let me just check if I'm in. Hey, good evening, C3 parents. I'm your coach, Karien. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm super excited to share this with you. And as you say hello, hit that like button. Let me know that you actually enjoy the video, or just at least let me know that you're here. We are going through growing pains. I've got a new background. We're in a new space for now. And hopefully, if everything goes well, the next live will be in the Netherlands. The whole shift and where the kids are at almost a year later. In this, remember to say hi. And if you're watching this on afterwards, please, if you watch this afterwards, please type it in. I will get back to you. Just comment down below or in the comment section. So let's dive into the conversation for tonight, and that is pandemic parenting. Now, like I said, we're almost a year into the pandemic situation. Most kids are either online schooling or partially schooling at a school, and then hi Lynette, partially schooling. I've been watching the reactions and the conversation is pushing my buttons, and it feels like one thing that I actually want to talk about tonight is why does it feel to us that it's like, and it's actually quite fairly simple, but it to those questions throughout the conversation. So don't worry, just when we are looking at this conversation through, if we go look at the index regarding trauma, the worst trauma or the worst thing that a person can go through that causes the most stress is death in a family. After that, like way below that, but the second place is basically a divorce. And somewhere in this whole thing, they don't really have constant fear. And that is what we're doing. We sort of adapted, but in the back of our minds, we live with this constant fear. Hi, good day, Judy. And we live with this constant fear, this constant thing in the background of our heads that going, be careful, remember to sanitize, remember to this, remember to that. And we absorb information, we absorb news that actually rises our own stress levels. Okay, we have a person that is, just give me a moment. I'm going to try and figure out how to remove this person. Right, please ignore the judo guy. I don't know how I don't know how to engage with them, but hey, that happened. Well, that's happening. So where was I? Okay, so when we actually have this conversation about when we talk about being in a crisis situation, we adapted, but we're constantly vigilant. And what happens with our brains is it's hyper aroused. We're constantly in a crisis state, whether we are fully aware of it or not. The same reason, even if we're not in a pandemic and we're going through a stressful period of time, we kind of end up being stricter with our kids. We kind of being a little bit less patient, and we are more on top of them and trying. We're constantly in this pandemic. We want to go wash our hands. We start taking chances we're not supposed to take. When we are going through this constant threat of our own personal struggles, and the reality is hyper on edge, and we experience it in almost less sacrifices to be made, activities, and so our homeschool around about like look at the crisis. Will reach a point where okay, fine. Our little small teeny tiny kids, they makes them far more irritable. They're not capable of getting or resilient. And yes, what's happening now is that survival adaptation. And they don't understand where they get. Okay, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Right. So we don't know where that stress is coming from and why it's that constant nagging feeling. Kids struggle with that. So for them, their reality now everything that's wrong, that I'm trying to survive. I need to figure out if I can survive without them. And whether we like it or not, that is how our kids living, and they're trying to figure out, how can I survive without the adults in my life? Whether they are actively thinking that or not, that is what their brain. So parenting during a pandemic becomes tricky and it becomes difficult. And one of our techniques, or one of the things that week, I have to be honest, in the beginning of the didn't do those check-ins that often, but the more the impact was felt on us as a family, we started doing the check-ins week. You sit down and you say, okay, you know what, we had this and this and this and this. The key part. This is not a fishing expedition, others burdens conversation. So work together, connected family conversation. So you're going to be honest. You're going to say, you know what, I really struggled this week with this. Sleep, you know what, I was really worried about this. Oh, you know what, I lost my temper over here and I'm sorry about that. Just being an honest, open conversation. Part of this family connect meeting, or this heart check, is there's no judgment. So if my kid tells me, you were really mean with me this week, I'm not going to go like, but why are you saying this? The reaction is, okay, I think I was judged. I'm not going to defend it. I'm going to say, I'm sorry, it was that way, and leave it at that. There's no need to defend. There's really no need for us to defend. A message like the connection is unstable, so just let me know. If you guys can see me and hear me, it's a bit weird. So actually, there's a disruption. So please just comment for me and let me know if there's a disruption and if I need to repeat something. Otherwise, I'm just going to go straight forward. If you have any questions, any behavior that you would like to address right now while I'm having this conversation about one of the tips of the family heart check and helps us grow. So please do that for me. And anyway, so when we have these heart-to-heart conversations, it's a space free of judgment. And it's not the people who's going to unload on the kids. It's an opportunity for our kids to actually unload so that we actually know what's going on about our future and things that's going on. That stuff that they should, what they were struggling with. And I'm like, oh my word, how did I miss it? How did I not pick up that struggle that my kid is experiencing, that heart-wrenching battle that they're having? And we sometimes believe, oh no, kids are resilient, so they'll be okay. Okay, thank you, Lynette. Okay, I don't know why it keeps on breaking up. Guys, I hope the video comes out okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna. All right, but when we forget to check in with our kids, we just see bad behavior, and bad behaviors of needs that's not being met, pains that's not being heard. We as adults, sometimes we wake up and we just feel really cranky and we feel crappy and we just can't pinpoint that cranky feeling. We can't pinpoint it. We can't like definitively put our finger on what's bothering us. So we're cranky the whole day until someone asks us something and we're like, oh man, that's why I'm feeling this way. Oh, okay, that makes but when our kids are cranky and pushing at boundaries and just being like all around miserable around us, and we just see it as bad behavior, but it's not bad. It is because they just try to pull kids to meet us where we are at. And where we are at the moment during this pandemic is as developed as mine to rationally meet to them and have these conversations. If you have a kiddo, you can fine doing 2 and 5. That sometimes really helps. So one of the techniques you can do is you can actually draw little hearts and ask them to color it in. Red is angry and yellow is happy. You know, your primary colors you choose for emotion, and let them just color that in and give them an opportunity to show act out. They still have this, has to go. They're bottling sponges and they're bottling it up and they're trying. and really, I want to say get away unnecessarily with bad behavior, but what I mean by that is, how do I space and have dealing with emotion where we are emotionally and where we're going, what we're aiming towards in the future. So when they do when they are in way acting out, please do first of all do a heart-to-heart check-in. Do a heart-to-heart heart feeling. How are you doing? No judgment, just tell me where you're at. And then from there, that bits of information will all of a sudden say, oh, they had a tantrum when I went to the shops without them, because they maybe feel left out. They maybe feel like, or they might be scared losing you actually triggers them far more. The fear of losing you triggers them far more. And so then you can actually have a conversation, you know what, but I have to go to the shops. I'm doing this and this and this to keep safe. You know, this is the rules to keep safe. I adhere to it. I'll be this amount of time and then I'll be home, and you actually talk it through with them. So there's a variety of check-ins that you can do and ways that you can have this conversation with your kid. So guys, if you're watching this on replay, please remember to type in hashtag replay. I think that is where I'm going to finish tonight's conversation. Sorry about the bad connection. I've got no idea what's going on. I'm going to figure out how to get the pervert off of the chats for future reference. That was interesting. Um, so that's new. Any other questions that you guys may have, please comment them down below. You're more than welcome to join the conversation. You're more than welcome to share your perspective, share what you're thinking, share the struggles that you guys have been dealing with. This is an open conversation. We're a family, and we're journeying together, and we're all growing together. If you have any other tips and tricks that worked for you, share them with everybody. And otherwise, if you haven't subscribed to the hit that like button to see those who have been here tonight. I appreciate you and thank you for the journey. And guys, we're in 2021. I'm going to aim at trying to do a YouTube live every second month. Hope aiming in various directions. And love you. I'll see you. Remember to wash your hands, wear your mask, and remember, behaves. Check yourself, take a breath. They are also just trying to survive and trying to figure out. Cheers.